There we go.
Okay. And this is Acting Chair Marcia Wenzel, and the meeting is a call to order at 10:03 a.m. So do we have any introductions? We've located all the numbers we don't recognize. Is that true? Hello?
Looks like we're good.
Oh, okay. All righty. So let's move on to take a look at the agenda. Um, and everybody, is there any um, all right, to move forward to adopt the agenda? Does anyone have any conversation?
No, but I would move to adopt the agenda. This is Commissioner Mayer.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mark. All right, now to the meeting minutes. The same thing. Have we all reviewed it? Anyone have a motion to move to adopt it?
I move to approve the meeting minutes as
Okay.
presented. Commissioner Mayer.
Thank you. Thank you. A second on that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mark. All right, the meeting.
Marcia, you need to vote for the agenda and then the minutes. Or did you already do the vote for the agenda?
She did that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're on the
okay.
minutes now.
Okay, minutes. Any in approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove?
Aye.
Okay, so we have a disapproval.
No. It's an aye.
Oh, George. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. The meeting minutes are passed. Okay, we'll move forward to announcements. Anyone with an announcement?
Yes. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I tried to forward you information that I received, but I'm not sure if you read the email that Dana Hiddle, who is the interim director of the Office of Developmental Disability Services, is going back to the ODHS director's office on Monday. So there will be a new interim director. His name is Jeff Aiken. He has been around the Office of Oregon Department of Human Services and Shared Service for quite some time. He's held a lot of different leadership positions. He was the Deputy Chief Operations Officer, the Administrator of the Background Check Unit, and the Administrator of Imaging and Record Management. So we'll welcome him. We'll invite him to a future meeting. And I want to extend our thanks to Dana for all her work with the Office of Developmental Disability Services. And if you would like, I can share her email address if anybody wants to send her a message.
All right. Thank you. I have an announcement. It's more like a reminder. You've all heard the phrase first impressions. Well, I've experienced over the months that many times in placing a call to one of the staff at Oregon Home Care Commission, I get a recording that they're out of the office until such date, and I realized that that's already happened, like maybe a month and a half ago, and I know that it's past, but a new person, a first impression is, oh my, maybe they don't listen to their emails for a month and a half. So just for what it's worth, remember about first impressions. You want to look like you're on top of things, not a month and a half behind. I know you listen to the things, but you need to correct your messages. uh, promptly when it's past time. Thank you.
I have an announcement. Okay. Um, this is Commissioner Adams. The announcement I am to bring to this commission is that all of you probably will be experiencing shortages of transportation. Portland, Eugene, Roseburg, so on and so forth. Down here in Southern Oregon, we will be experiencing tough times on transportation down here, starting September 2nd. I was in an emergency meeting on the 4th because I'm the chair of the transportation committee down here. And we were told in an emergency situation that there's 82 drivers that will be losing their jobs after September 2nd for the RVTD. Validip will be losing 17% of their ridership and also their drivers here in Validip. If things don't come into play like they're supposed to, come July of next year, we may not have any transportation at all. And unless something good comes from the US government and state funding. So we'll be having a hardship down here. There's only going to be, I think there's 5 routes that are going to be running between September 2nd until July of next year.
George,
Yes,
is that you're referring to public transportation?
correct.
Will that also shrink the non-emergency transportation routes that are available, since they follow or shadow the regular transportation lines?
For some brokerages, yes. Some brokerages are connected to CCOs, depending upon the CCOs itself. The CCO down here will have to cut some of the service adapted to medical transport and only concentrate to take consumers to only the doctors, dentists, specialists, hospitals, and back home. The CCO down here has already cut some of her staff already in the CCO. That's how bad it's getting.
Do you have any printed information about that, George? That
Only in the conversation in meetings that I'm having with
okay?
CEOs.
Thank you.
Paul wanted to ask a question, I guess.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks, George, for your input. So when we talk about transportation, just want to make sure that we keep the focus on what type of transportation. So as George just referenced, the non-emergent medical transportation would be, again, through CCOs or through OHA. It is not a service benefit, it's a medical benefit. So it has zero to do with APD in the sense of APD's involvement in authorizing medical transportation. But as George mentioned, it's through the CCO and OHA. So that's the information he shared. On the APD side, we have non-medical transportation. So that's transportation for purposes that are not medical related at all, and they're for in-home consumers, such as shopping, going to the beauty parlor, or things like that align with an individual's service needs. On that side of things is the only thing I can really refer to, and just so that I want to say 2 things. First of all, that on the non-medical transportation side with APD, there may be a small reduction in the routes that non-medical transportation provides through Rogue Valley Transportation District. We're working on revising the contract to reflect that. It won't be a significant cut in the routes, but it will be a cut in the distance in some of the routes, from what I understand. I just wanted to, although mention though, it's probably best that this is the type of information that we want to wait until contracts are written or rewritten or decisions are made, because often relating accurate information is very important. We don't want people to maybe receive information that they don't understand or that maybe not be completely precise. And so I just want to caution, in general terms, and myself included, that we don't necessarily talk to the general public about this, because we don't know exactly how this will look or what cuts may be made. And obviously, that information will be forthcoming. So I just wanted to share that perspective. We want to realize that maybe changes are coming, but let's be careful to not um, get ahead of it, in the sense that the information may not be completely accurate or precise until we know for sure. But as George mentioned, there are some different restrictions and cuts that are coming in different areas of the transportation. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson, I was given permission to give this information out about the paratransit down here.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you, George. I'm not, or am I contending what you said? I just want to try to clarify on the non-medical side, and just say we need to, outside of this meeting, and be careful, I think, because until things are, there's a lot of transportation issues throughout the state that are in flux, or other issues as well. And so I just think we need to try to do our best to communicate the information that we have when appropriate, but also, as you've been given permission apparently to do so, but also I'm really speaking to the other members of the commission as well, to be careful not to share information that we don't have yet finalized, or there's no certainty about in a final way. For example, in the contract I'm referring to, has not been any adjustments made. So I'm just cautioning that we be careful in how and what we communicate until there's final decisions have been made.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Any other announcements? If not, let's move to public testimony. Jenny, do we have some?
We do have public testimony. Let me cue that up real fast. Okay, public testimony for August 2025 OHCC meeting. Full disclosure, I am an SCIU Local 503 Board Director, Home Care Council Director, and Home Care Bargaining Team member. I am not speaking for the union in any capacity. The questions raised in this testimony are not rhetorical and demand direct answers from the OHCC during the meeting. These issues are critical to worker safety, fairness, and overall system functionality. I want to inform the OHCC of the great work Roberta Lilly has done. It has been a pleasure working with her over the past few months. She has been a tremendous help. Roberta has gone above and beyond the call of duty, working on weekends to provide service. The state claims it is unable to combine hours worked under different provider numbers to determine eligibility for step increases. However, I recently confirmed that the CareWell Benefit Trust does combine these hours to calculate paid time off, PTO. Quote, if you work as both a home care worker and a personal support worker, all hours worked in a month will be combined to calculate PTO benefit hours for that month. Paid time off, CareWell SEIU 503. This clearly demonstrates that this is not only possible, but also being done. If the state maintains that it cannot perform this calculation, then it has a duty to rely on the data provided by the trust, which already reflects the total combined hours. Workers deserve to be credited for all the hours they've worked. To do anything less is not just bureaucratic negligence, it is an insult to the workers who keep these services running. It's time to stop making excuses and start honoring the full scope of our labor. Time is of the essence. Now that the OHCC and DHS have been made aware of their shortcomings and failures in a public meeting, they cannot take the position they did not know. Testimony respectfully submitted by Avery T. Horton Jr., home care worker, citizen, voter, taxpayer, State of Oregon, as always acting in individual capacity, and a testimony. I first want to thank Mr. Horton for sharing these very kind remarks and compliments about Roberta Lilly. It's very much appreciated, and I know that she'll appreciate it as well. In terms of the hours to determine eligibility for step increases have those are tied to an increase in wages based on the number of hours a provider works. I've shared this concern with Aging and People with Disability as well as the Office of Developmental Disability Services. And it's not that the system cannot calculate this information. Um, it, I think it comes down to resources to be able to combine all the system from all the hours from different systems. The trust gets the information and then they do their own work to combine those hours. But one thing to mention about the number of hours is that any overtime hours are not calculated. They don't count towards the step increases. So that is one of the things to consider when we're looking at combining the hours. So I've passed on this concern, and we'll have to see what happens with that. And that's all of public testimony.
Thank you, Jenny. All right, let's move on to the next section. Governor's Commission. Mary, do you have a report?
Yes, I have just a very brief report. We met on the 10th of July. We spent most of the time preparing for our strategic planning session that's going to be in October. And we had a lengthy legislative update. Next month, as we typically do, we are not going to have a meeting in August. So that's my report.
Thank you. All right, Oregon Disabilities Commission. Mark?
Yes, okay, our last meeting, we had a, sorry, APD update with Keisha Knight Coyle. We had the DME think tank update with Ellen Kenny. And we have the legislative session update with Justin Witham and then our ADA celebration. Our website numbers increased a little bit again this year. We averaged about 220 people per week. I thought it was a great presentation throughout the month of July, and that's about it.
Thank you, Mark. All right, now, Oregon Association, I guess Randy is not here, so we won't have that report. Moving on to.
I am here.
Randy's
I am
here.
here.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi.
I jumped on just
Hi.
a couple minutes late. Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
So I am here. I have been racking my brain trying to figure out why I don't have a really great idea for a report today. And I guess it's because it's been a little while since we met. We had a quarterly meeting not long ago. But I think the biggest thing was to let you know that many of us did get back from the U.S. Aging Conference, although it feels like I reported that last time. My months are running together. Summer, sorry. I don't have a very great report today. The area agencies on aging are still working very hard in our communities. We are happy to hear that the funding for Medicaid programs actually had a little bump this last time for case management and eligibility workers. And so I think that was a little bit of a surprise to us given the federal level changes. We all are cautiously optimistic about that sticking over time, but we will see how the Medicaid changes affect that over time. So sorry, that was a very not thought out well report, but I just wanted to say good morning and I am here and happy to be part of the meeting today.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Randy. All right. Now, APD. Paul?
Yeah, hi, good morning. And check with Matt Raposa. We didn't have anything particular to mention today regarding APD. So the work is continuing on and things are going well. And so nothing to report. I did want to say something personally that I'm enjoying, although I haven't got very far in reading this fine book. Maybe Mark, you recognize it. This is a book that was written by Mark King, our commissioner. And I haven't got very far, I admit, but I am working on way through it. It's very interesting. And I would encourage others, if they haven't read Mark's story, to pick up the book and familiarize themselves with his story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, George, community advisory councils and CCOs.
I've got no other report to report on the CAC and the CCOs other than what I had reported on the announcement.
Okay.
Marcia, I'm sorry, I believe we missed reflection time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Well, let's
um,
reflect.
it's just a time set aside if there were any additional thoughts from our last meeting or any outstanding questions. Sometimes people need additional time to kind of think about what was presented and have some thoughts about it later. So we want to set aside a little bit of time if anybody wants to offer any additional insight or had questions. And it looks like Paul has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you. In a reflective mood, I guess. I would like to just commend the commissioners for their work with the bylaw revision. I thought there was really good participation last time we did that. I know we're working on it today as well. And I mean, this could be kind of a stale kind of project that we just have to do, but there was really energy and interest. And for my part, I really appreciated being able to participate in the great product I think that we're developing.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Adams. The reflection that I want to say is I'm proud to be working with commissioners to get our narrative down and to work together as a team. And this is the first time that I'm happy to be working with people that is willing to work with me on a commission and work so hard to move things along and to do things better than from the past. And that's all that I want to say.
Thank you, George. Anyone else with reflection? All right. So do we have the workforce marketing campaign people?
Marcia, this is Jenny again. I just wanted to mention to everybody that Leslie is with us today.
Oh,
Leslie McIntyre.
yes.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Ginny, I think there's need to have a celebration here, at least maybe some cookies to celebrate this great event. Leslie.
Yeah.
Everybody gets virtual cookies. David, was Elisa joining today?
I think I'm going to take this one today. So yeah, hi. I mean, come on, camera. Hi, this is the David Scott Vining, your friendly neighborhood OHCC program analyst. And I'm going to share my screen if you would like to let me do that, Heidi. So we're going to give some updates on the media campaign where we're at. Our most recent data is from June. So we have July's information will be coming here in the next couple weeks, and I'll get that to you all next meeting. So June looking good. This year is just a reminder, right, of the way that we envision the journey of applicants, right? They have this increase. You can see my screen, right? I just want to make sure. Okay, good. Thanks, Jenny. I saw your gentle nod of kindness. Yeah, so the way that we envision the journey of an applicant in this process of becoming a provider involves inquiry, which is where they're just kind of interested, they're looking at it, they're not familiar with what being a provider really looks like. So they get interested after that, they kind of go to our website, start to get information, maybe they pick up some of the documents we've created. Then they really become a candidate when they're starting to look at what it means to become a provider. They may click on the applications, start looking through it. They go into being an applicant then when they take the application and fill it out, submit it then to the local office or the case management entity, and it starts going through. They continue to follow up. They get the email from Orchards for the background check. They go through that. And then we consider that to be complete when they get that provider number. But we consider them in the workforce when they connect with a consumer and start providing services. So we're still figuring out metrics on how to track that really well. There's different points in that data that we're missing and really trying to understand the best way to do that. And as we start developing these metrics more thoroughly, I'll be bringing that to all of you, of course, because it is exciting stuff. And the way that we want to make sure that we are tracking this so that we can show the impact of this campaign in the long term. But some of the earlier things that we can do, we can track inquiry and interested very easily. Those two stages are the easiest for us to track right now. So looking at what's been going on, overall, we've got a lot of people coming to our website. I continue to be amazed at how many people are coming to our website. And I like to remind everyone, right, before in all of 2024, we had about 26,000 people come to our website. 26,000, all of 2024. Now, since we've done the campaign, we're seeing up to 43,000 people clicking on our website in a month. Those are not small numbers. It is a lot. And we're also getting out there, right? So 5,000 people did a search for us, which is just like, hey, what is home care work in Oregon? And then that pops up, pulls up the website for us or for them. We had 3.1 million people see what we call moving ads on Facebook or on YouTube. And CTV, that's just streaming services, right? So people who are watching on Hulu or any of the ones that provide like Peacock, those are the ones I watch a lot, obviously. So anyways, but anything that streams and has ads. So these moving ads are like little pictures that transition gently and say, like meaningful work can be found in home care work. Find out by going to this website, right? 3.1 million views. Huge numbers. Very excited to know about that. We're getting traffic from there as well, so they can click on the if it's on YouTube, for example, they can click on it and it goes to the website. If it's not, they see a QR code that they can scan really quick on a streaming service, or they remember our vanity URL, right? And we know that that's working as well. And I'll get to that number coming up here in a bit. Spanish ads are also out there, and we see a lot of people coming into it through Spanish ads. 32,000 clicks coming to us from Meta. So that includes like Instagram and Facebook, where those ads are running. And then also, excuse me, I need some water apparently. I ate some cold pizza and I felt it stuck in my throat. Anyways. Okay. LinkedIn is another place that we've been showing off these ads. If you're not familiar with LinkedIn, it's a social networking for people who are trying to find um, jobs in their field. And so we put ads up there. We don't really have a specific profile for us, but it is a good way to still connect with people. And I see Elisa jumped in, and Elisa can help supplement anything that I'm talking about and saying right now if she would like. But hi, Elisa.
Hello, did you just get started?
I did, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Um, we found that by turning off Meta's audience network, which is just a algorithm that Meta uses in the way that it describes stuff, we've actually helped improve our engagement there. So, George, I'm going to pause here so you can raise your or ask your question.
Yeah. David, I wanted to tell you that I am hearing some caregivers and home care agencies that are now interested in becoming a state provider now.
Awesome.
And I know of one right now that really wants to be one right away. And I'm seeing ads on Facebook.
Nice.
I see five of your ads within a 30-minute turnaround on Facebook.
That's awesome. Thanks for letting me know, George. I still have yet to see them, probably because I just talk about other things around my phone, so it shows me mostly like Renaissance fair gear. But that's really cool. And I hope you refer the individual you know to our website so that they can start getting into being a home care worker.
Oh, yeah.
We did see a little bit of a decline in June for the search volume, most likely because just rising costs of things and lower keyword activity going on. So Elisa probably wants me to definitely point out that last one, and we actually had a meeting relatively recently on getting an advisory group together so that we can look at the kind of refreshing of the campaign, right? We want to make sure that kind of the way we built this in the contract is that we don't want this campaign to get stale throughout the year that it's being ran. We want to make sure that it's continuing to catch people's eye and getting their engagement by giving it a refresh every few months. Some of our live channels, right? We just approved stuff for print media, which is exciting. So a lot more print media is going to be out there soon. Especially, we know that that's going to be important in rural Oregon, as we've heard constantly from individuals in Eastern Oregon, especially that they just don't have the same internet access, and that's not their main source of information. So knowing that we needed to use print media and more traditional means of radio, getting the word out through that way. I was also going to mention some place-based ad stuff. I made Jenny go to Roth's down here in Salem just a couple weeks ago to get a picture with some of the ads there, and we got one from Jenny. So she's going to be showing that off later, but not here, I don't think, but somewhere else at a conference. Anyways. So yeah, these place-based ads include posters that are in prominent areas. Jenny, like I said, Jenny went to Roth's, but they also include they're called standees. I think is just kind of a better word for like using an easel, which is what I always think of it as. But we have those in over 200 locations across Oregon. Billboards continue to be out, mostly on like in the metro area, they're mostly digital ones. I know that Salem, same thing, digital billboards. I have seen those, and then they're also more standard. Oh gosh, Elisa, I'm looking at you all of a sudden because I forgot the word. What would be just a plain billboard that's just a poster, kind of whatever. I don't know. I'm sure there's a word for it, but those also exist out. And I know that those are in more central Oregon, in eastern.
Which ones are you talking about? I'm happy to. Are you talking about the last category? The
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the place-based advertising. It would be a range of things like signs on grocery carts, in locations that don't have like a grocery cart, that are, we have display cases that are going up, and then also posters. So it depends on the location, what it is. And the last time we met, I shared the list in the metrics, the list of all the places where we have place-based advertising. So if you have any questions about that, we can get back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Elisa.
No problem.
Some more stuff that's going on with our digital ads. I think a lot of would be not, I don't think, but I know that a lot of our stuff has been focused on some digital ads, mostly just because that's the way a lot of people are connecting right now with the world, and how they find stuff, right? There's a reason our phone is so important now. I was randomly even just thinking about how, like, because some funny little picture of a raccoon popped up on my phone, right? And like when I was a kid, if I wanted to see a funny picture of a raccoon, that thing didn't exist. This is just a weird metaphor that I'm going like throwing out, but we can use our phones for so much now. People do, even for just entertainment. So getting information and showing value already, the value of this work through that device that people are already engaging in is very important. So, Paul.
Yeah, David, thank you. So, just a quick question. So some of the social media ads like on Meta are English and Spanish, and then some of the print ads are more, some of the other languages are included. Is there any possibility, or is there a plan to add any other languages to social media, maybe Russian or something like that?
So I can take that, David. So the answer to that is yes. And in fact, David referenced this a little bit. We got the original all the advertising out in English and Spanish, and we are developing ads that are culturally appropriate for other languages. So like, for example, we're doing all the languages that are approved under what the Home Care Commission operates in, so the 8 languages, but maybe we didn't have an image that would be appropriate for a Somali ad. So we're updating those to make sure that we reflect not only all of the roles that can be filled, but also that the images reflect the community as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and just to echo with Elisa, like it's been so cool to look at doing more transcreation of materials versus just straight translations, and how to make sure that we are communicating value in a way another culture understands value, especially for this job. Some other fun stuff. There are adult foster home things. I'll give you more information on that if you feel interested. I know it's not the purview of the commission, but yeah, there is also a push as part of this media campaign to increase adult foster homes. If you remember our vanity URL, OregonHomeCareJobs.com. Nice and easy, catchy one. Some more website metrics here. Top line stuff. Again, this covers June. But we did see, like I said, there was a little bit of a drop off earlier. 3.5 pages per session. So when someone goes to the website, they end up looking at 3.5 of the pages that are there. So if you remember our website, right, just the homepage, that's probably the first page that they're going to. Just a guess, if I had to make one. But then that also means they're looking at the other pages, right? Like learn more, how to apply, even possibly the FAQs, right? Like So they're navigating through it. They're looking for more information and trying to find what they can. I don't think it's on this one, but Jenny and I were talking about the average person spending about 59 seconds on the site itself. So almost a full minute, but going through those pages in that time. And that's an average again from those like 43,000 people that are coming to the website. So some people are there for just a little bit and others a lot. Elisa.
Yeah, and David, I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I did want to have a discussion with this group either now or another time soon on what we're working on, what some of the premises might be for people. We attract them with the ad, they come to the site, and then they're not moving forward. As we refresh the campaign, we want to explore all the reasons for that. And we've got some premises, not a lot of data. So one premise might be that individuals are daunted by the training requirement. Another might be that they saw the ad and they thought it was about something else. And when they got there, they're like, nope, if there's time, I would like to get some of the commission's opinions on that when and if there's time.
I will yield some time, of course, because I think that this is an important discussion, for sure.
Yeah, I think it would be important for us to hear from you what you think some of the barriers are for people. They get interested, they see it, and then they learn a little bit more and they're like, oh, this isn't for me. And I just wondered what your thoughts are on potential barriers.
This is fine.
I see
I'm sorry.
Paul's hand up, so why don't you, Paul, you go first, and then George, I'll have a mental hand for you.
Yeah, I think those are two important reasons I think you've identified. From my perspective, I would agree with that. Another may or may not, but possibly is an issue, is just maybe people looking for a different pay rate, even though I think we're doing very well. But they may find some other pay structure that they're more happy with elsewhere, or they may be looking for higher pay or that type of thing. Or possibly they don't get far enough into the information to discover really some answers to questions they may have. Maybe they're initially see the information, which I think is really good. You guys are doing a wonderful job, but possibly it's like they may lose interest or not pursue more information on the website or on the social media site, whatever it may be.
Thank you, Paul. George?
Yeah, some of the barriers would be when some people are in a financial crunch, they tend to see what is the best jobs out there. And if they see that there's a home care AC job out there pertaining to us that want to apply for state, they're mostly looking for something that could supply their income and not have to worry about, do I need to get another job? How am I gonna be able to support myself because of rent being so high? Food gonna be too high? And things like that. The one good thing I would like to say is if there's people that could be more encouraging, like, hi, I'm from the commission, or someone from the APD office say, hi, how you doing? How can I help you? And if they say, well, they're looking for a job, I would suggest that I can help you. I got all the information right here. What are you looking for? And then they would say, well, I'm looking for a caregiver job. Well, okay, well, these are the things on a piece of paper You need to take these type of classes and such and such and such. Kind of an outlook, kind of customer based to maybe get the person interested because, like I said, people from the home care agencies, some of them are not, they're not happy in the job that they're doing in the home care agencies. And this will give us some opportunity to lower people in that are not satisfied with the home care agencies.
That's a really good idea. And an insight, David and Jenny and I have talked a lot about, and other members of our team on what we can do to highlight the Provider Navigator program that provides that one-on-one counseling, and doing more to let people know that that's a resource that exists. And David, you know way more about that than I do. But I'm really glad you raised that point, because we are looking at that kind of thing, like you come to our website, having a maybe some more proactive outreach for the provider navigators. David, I'll let you toss back to you, because you know way more about that than me.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. It is definitely something that we want to put up more, and make it more prominent. So I think, George, that's a great idea. Even just having, Elisa, maybe we can talk about like where we could put right on the homepage Provider Navigator, if you're really interested. Because right now we just have it as that side page, right, up at the top, navigation. But yeah, we should definitely be thinking of it right away.
Yeah, like I said, people want to be happy. They want to be happy in what they are getting into or what they want in a job. And
Yeah,
they want to be able to support
And
them.
everything right up front as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it. Randy, I see your face, which I love seeing your face.
Hi,
And telling me you
yes,
had
yes.
something to say. So hi,
Nice
Randy.
to see everyone. So, I was sorry if you said this, but I was wondering if the percentages of people who follow through. So there's the direct support professionals, and then there's home care workers, and there's the other category, whatever the other category is. And I was wondering if, are you seeing any higher percentages for completing in any of the three categories? Is there any data around that kind of thing? Do you know?
yes,
No.
we don't have that data.
Okay.
We there's unevenness in how programs track. So we've got more data on the APD side than we do with ODDS and behavioral health. And we're trying to work really hard with all programs to get us those metrics so we can adjust the campaign. It's kind of critical for us actually right now, in addition to when things end. So we're all thinking the same thing. And I also just wanted to address what Paul said, and this also gets beyond my expertise pretty quickly. We've heard some barriers about the process for getting set up to get paid, and I know that also differs by job type, or may differ by job type. So I know that was also raised as a concern, and what we're looking at is like overall, if we can see any trends in where we're getting people to move to that step for becoming a home care. So Randy, to your question, any insights on like more questions to Comagin, more questions to local offices, more questions to CMEs, in addition to signing up?
Yeah, I think that we're all acutely aware of the internal stuff that we need to do to make the process faster. But the campaign, right, wanting to make sure that people at least get started there as we start to fix those processes and get everything moving smoother. George?
Yeah, I also want to elaborate also. There's people that is in college, like SOC down here, Southern College, that are in the medical fields, and they're studying for them. And that's a great opportunity, because they're wanting to change they're wanting to change job performance, change job, job stuff. There's one I know that wants to be, that's a radiology, and now wants to become a caregiver and studying to be done in SOC down here. The one
We do have, on the community outreach side, and we'll get to that. Also, there's a couple things we're doing, George. One, we're going to be doing outreach and have been doing outreach to community colleges as well as high schools so that people consider this as a career. And so reaching out directly with community colleges and universities is right in our wheelhouse. And then we are also developing a specialized portion of the campaign at the advertising to reach students and people that are looking at career options and career change.
I do want to bring it to David's attention. I have a friend that is from Hong Kong and she wants to get into the field, but she's Chinese. She speaks English and she says she can't find anywhere on our website the language of Chinese. And she can't find it anywhere on the APD website of the Chinese language. And I also am hearing it from Vietnamese also, that they can't find that type of language.
Yeah, that's a good point, George, because the way those languages are there, but when you really think about it, right, you have to click a drop-down menu that says languages in English and have it drop down. So that may need to be something we need to process through just as accessibility in general.
I just wanted to bring it to your attention because they're telling me they can't find it, or maybe they're not knowing how to find it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense, right? If you don't know how to read English and you have to click the word language in English to get to the language in your own language, how are you going to do that, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, George. That's a really good point. Paul?
Yeah, just in reference to what Elise mentioned a moment ago, the thought crossed my mind when you were talking about community colleges and high schools. And maybe this is really very idealistic and unrealistic, but I wonder if it would be worthwhile considering every now and then, like if there's a course in a high school or college, having a consumer go there and talk to the students about the care they received and why it's so important in their life, and how the caregivers that they've employed through APD or ODTS, whatever, have made a difference in their lives, that type of thing. Obviously, this would take a lot of work to organize and so forth, but there may be some consumers who would love to volunteer in different communities where there's community colleges or maybe high school programs, if there was a way to do so. And that would, once you see a person face to face and hear their story, and if you have interest anyway in serving in that capacity, it just may be something that would be beneficial. I realize it may be very difficult to sustain or make happen in a widespread way, but just a thought to consider.
I'll jump in, and I know David has some insight. So I thank you for asking that question, because that also tees up some of the stuff we have coming up very soon. So among the things we're doing is doing sponsorships for events, job fairs, etc. In some of them, career fairs, it includes funding what they call scholarship opportunities. So in other words, helping individuals who couldn't otherwise pay to be at a career fair to get funded to be able to go. And these are ones we've picked. We're going to have a strong presence there. So I think we've got some opportunity there. And also, we want somebody from the state, and it would be great if we had somebody that receive services and could talk about that, to join in that outreach, to be there. It is a big commitment. It does take time. It can also be pretty demanding because you're there all day, maybe on your feet or whatever. But I love that idea. I'd love to explore that with David and Jenny and see what we might be able to do. We know in the advertising, when people think about it intellectually, they go to things like pay, but the images that are doing best for us are the ones that show emotional connection and humanity. So it's like people are thinking with two sides of their brain. They're responding to the emotional stuff. Yeah. So I think hearing directly from somebody and making that connection would be really powerful. And maybe what we do is, again, brainstorming. If we have something that's on a video that could be played in the booth, you want to watch this video that from the consumer, we could possibly do something like that too, if we can't hit that ideal of the in-person.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. I just think back to a video now several years old that Ruth and Marcia were in, that Matt Raposa helped to put together on person-centered care. And even though it wasn't done professionally, it was done effectively. And like you just said, Elise, you're on top of this. People make decisions with their heart, and not just with their head. And so I think that, as a minimum, having some of those short video excerpts showing different people and how their needs are met and their experience with caregivers and the difference it's made in their lives would really be a worthwhile thing. Or even pursuing the individual physically there in some events. So I think that would be wonderful if we could pursue some of that or continue to pursue that.
The video was with Ruth and who else?
It was Ruth and Marcia.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it was a
Marsha Wenzel, yes.
Yeah, Marcia could tell you more about it. It was wonderful, but it was really effective in our training of case managers when they used it. I don't know if they still do, to help case managers understand person-centered care.
Wonderful. Would love to learn more about that video.
Yeah, Jenny, Mark King's videos too are on the website. That stuff there is great. Well, I see Nikki's joined us, so we probably should let Nikki have some nice time. But I know Elisa and I are both super thankful, commissioners, for your time in this brainstorming session. We really want to continue to build this campaign out to be its most effective. And yeah, Elisa, I'll let you.
Yeah, I want to second that. I also wanted to slip in, and I'll put this in the chat. We are moving as we move into the second phase of the campaign. We are also moving into the second phase of our advisory committee. We are still looking for names of people that might be interested in that. I'm going to just put into the chat the basics on how to reach out to us and let us know if you know of anybody that would like to participate. We've got really good representation for APD. We're still trying to shore up representation for ODDS and behavioral health representation. That's it. Thanks for letting me get that last little snippet in, and I'll put the information in the chat.
Thanks, Elisa. Marsha, I'm gonna hand it over to you. And yeah.
Marcia, if you're talking, you're on mute.
There. David, you can't go too far away because you're in the next segment for a strategic plan.
I'm going to be here all day, though, so I'm going to let Nikki go ahead and jump at her time since it's 11 already.
All right. Okay. Nikki, welcome.
Thank you, Marcia. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Nikki Holmes. I am the Aging and People with Disabilities Safety Manager. My role as the safety manager is really pretty broad spectrum, but one of the pieces and pretty important pieces of the work that I do is help with emergency response to disasters and wildfires and ice storms and all the things that we experience in Oregon, and get to work with the local offices to make sure that the folks that we serve are safe during those types of events. So I think this topic has been on your guys's wish list for a little bit of time. And so I'm happy to be able to talk about emergency preparedness. I have a short slide deck that I will share, and then I can give that to Heidi or whomever at the end so that it can be distributed out if you want it. So with that, let me share my screen. And tee this up. Okay, can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so again, this is just the intro slide. I'm going to talk about emergencies and disaster preparedness. Little bit of a disclosure, I am not an emergency management expert. I've been in this role as safety manager for just over 3 years now, and I have learned most of the information I'm going to share along the way via people that are experts in the field. So just know that if you have questions I'm not able to answer, I will find answers and I will loop back to you guys. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a concept of, maybe for some context about some of the work that we did last year during the disasters and emergencies that we experienced. So we had more than 45 emergency events that we managed, and that included some pretty extreme weather events. So heat waves that we experienced in the summer, extreme winter freezing ice storms in the winter time. We had a pretty significant wildfire season. In that, we had some water boil advisories. We had prescribed burns that we prepared for in Deschutes County, power outages, and probably other things that I didn't recall, but we had quite a few that we managed last year. In those 45 plus emergency events, we did, and I mean APD and the AAA offices, local offices did outreach to over 2,200 in-home consumers throughout the year. We also did a lot of outreach to our foster homes and our community-based care settings as well. So quite a bit of work happens when these emergencies come about our way. And so it's just kind of cool that we have the ability to support so many people during these types of events. This is just a visual, a little bit of our MAPS part of our emergency response management system. This is a database that was created after 2020 as a result of our pretty bad wildfire season that we had that went through some really populated areas, especially the Jackson County area. During our, prior years to 2020, all of our emergency events were managed via spreadsheet. It's really hard to keep track of folks, figure out, where they have evacuated to, if they've evacuated, what types of needs they might need help support with, you know, any kind of coordination or support via spreadsheet, especially when there's a lot of things going on. So there was a need that was identified to create a system that would allow us to be able to quickly identify our in-home consumers, as well as our long-term care facilities in disasters and emergency type situations. So the map that is got all of the little green pins all over it. This is a screenshot of all of the in-home consumers, and not all, but you can see they're spread out throughout the state of Oregon. If there was an event as demonstrated by the evacuation zones on the other side of this screen, we can quickly isolate folks in different parts of an evacuation zone, for example, and then run a quick list to be able to send that to local offices so they can begin doing outreach to individuals. And when they do outreach, they are doing what we call kind of a rapid assessment. So the really quick emergency type questions. Have you been told that you need to evacuate? Do you have the ability to evacuate? If you need support, what kind of support do you need? And so there's this kind of quick evaluation that happens. And then obviously work happens after that to help support individuals. We also do this for our long-term care facilities, but I know that that's not the audience that I'm talking to today. Let me just talk a little bit more about that. So it also has sort of a case management feature to it. So we can document emergency evacuation sites. So if individuals are evacuating, we can help track the movement so that we know where folks are going, whether that's in temporary shelters that are set up, by the American Red Cross or other community efforts, or into, just neighbors' homes or family members' homes. And this information is pretty vital so that we can help support continued care. And it's, especially if there was something really major and lots of people are having to evacuate large areas, it gets really hard to keep track of where folks go. And we want to make sure that we know that information. So the case managers can help support that effort by using this emergency response management system to do that, as well as document needs. The system also allows for the ability to do tasks so that if something is identified that an individual needs support with during an emergency and say a local office isn't able to provide that support. So an individual is in an evacuation zone, they need help, they don't have transportation, their provider isn't available to help, or doesn't have the ability to help, and they need to evacuate. A task can be created and it gets sent to the safety team. And we can then work with our Office of Resiliency and Emergency Management, and they in turn work with the county emergency managers to help support individuals in those types of situations so that we can help, get folks out that need to be evacuated or relocated quickly. So it's an electronic system, it's web-based, so work can be done in the system anywhere in the state or outside of the state, quite frankly. So it's really handy if a particular area is impacted and the office is closed, for example, and so we don't have any case managers supporting people that live in that area. We can defer the work to a different part of the state so that that outreach can and support can continue. It's a really cool system.
Nikki, I'm not sure if you can see hands up, but Marcia Wenzel has a hand up.
Oh, I can't, Jenny. If that it's helpful because I've got both screens going, so I can't see that. But
I believe you just answered my question, because at first you said the information would go to the local office. And then I was wondering if they were closed, what would happen? And you've just answered it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jenny, are there any other questions?
Yes, this is Commissioner Adams. I don't know if you had thought about this, but maybe us commissioners can work with you in getting some type of system together to that maybe state providers, when they're off their time, an emergency arises, like maybe a tsunami or earthquake or fire, can maybe join as a team. All caregivers join as a team and work together when they're alerted to go help out a consumer.
I think that that is a really great idea, Commissioner Adams, and I would love to have some more conversation with you about that. We do have a little bit of a process where there have been some identified, and Jenny, you might have to help me out a little bit about how this actually works, but some providers that have been willing to provide extra support in emergency type situations. And we have a list out of Karina that we can access during certain times. So I think we kind of have a little bit of that, but maybe we could look at that more and make sure that it's sufficient. Jenny, do you have more on that?
No, I think you described that well. So on the OHCC registry, we have the ability to select people who say they are available on short notice or in an emergency. And Karina doesn't necessarily have that same functionality, but we told Carewell, SEIU 503, that was important to the local offices so that they could help with emergency preparedness. So they are manually sharing a list of providers who are willing to work on short notice with us so that we have that in case of an emergency. Until Karina is able to make that function, available to everyone, it's something we have asked for behind the scenes.
Nikki, I will tell you that I'm the only one working on this one project, and it's taken me now 3 years. I'm getting, it's going to have to be approved by 2 county commissioners down here, Josephine and Jackson County, and that is to get a building built that are 3 football fields long, and to be putting doctors, nurses, and care help on a list. And then some helicopters and 5 dogs per town color coded for emergency use down here. I haven't got it all together yet, but once it gets put together, I'm hoping to get all the county commissioners, both Jackson and Josephine counties, approval. Because I see things that some people won't see or can't see, like the surrounding area of Keg Junction, where you've got that junction there. If there was to be an emergency down here, nobody will be able to cross 99 or 199 into Kid Junction if that highway was to cave in. And that's what I've been working on.
That sounds like amazing work. And I think that those, the lens that you have in your local area is really valuable, because there are certain things, that others wouldn't consider, just, access getting in and out of certain places, or, like just on the coast, for example. I mean, they've got bridges everywhere. If there was to be, the major earthquake and we were going to lose bridges, I mean, that's a whole different story. But, it's like that, the eyes, and awareness of things that are specific to certain geographical areas is really valuable. So that sounds like awesome work.
I do also want to keep you in mind that we are expected to have a 9 or 11-point earthquake here soon. Not to mention a tsunami that came through. So
yeah. All right, are there any other questions or shall I move on? Okay, hearing nothing. I can't see anything, so somebody speak up if there is something. I will go ahead and continue. Okay, so talking just a little bit about preparing to evacuate. This is probably information that you may already be aware of, but these are the evacuation levels that are set. Um, they are, level 1 is green, which is, let's be prepared. There's something coming. So we want you to just stay really vigilant and making sure that you're staying informed in what's happening. Make sure that your kit is ready to go if you have one. Hopefully you do. And this is also a time that if there is an individual that's going to be have extra special needs to evacuate, we want to really be looking at those individuals to make sure that we're not waiting until the evacuation levels increase, to level 3 go now. Or we're working on finding those supports. So that's level 1. Level 2 would be to get set at a moment's notice, significant high danger in the area, making sure staying aware of the evacuation routes and make sure that following the plan that's established. And again, if there are individuals with special needs that are going to take some time to evacuate, this is the time that this should be happening. Should not be waiting until level 3 go now. And of course, level 3 go now is to leave immediately as when you've been informed. These are the levels that we work off of. I would also say, to trust your instincts. If you feel like it is important based on, certain things that are happening with your health or your mobility or your family or whatever the case may be, trust your instincts and go when you feel like it's appropriate. You don't have to wait for an official, level 3 go now to leave. You can obviously leave much sooner than that. Just a couple things to consider as in things that, when I'm helping local offices or helping support individuals that we serve, we're looking at, and planning. So some things to ask yourself and plan for. So are you able to evacuate independently? There are some folks that need support of other individuals to help safely evacuate. So in preparing your individual plans, what does that look like for you? Do you have a home care worker or a provider, or do you have natural supports that will be able to support you in those times? Do you have a backup provider that can help step in if your primary care provider isn't able to support you? Because we know that when emergencies happen, they affect broad areas typically. And so your providers could also be in in the same area and supporting their own needs and their own families. So what does that look like?
Nikki, I'm sorry.
It's
Marcia
okay.
has her hand up.
Okay, thanks, Jenny.
Oh, mhm. Just wondering, I think it needs to be pre-established if a provider is working with a person and they have to evacuate or there is an emergency, that they are already authorized to extend their time with that person and will get paid instead of someone running into the scenario of I have to leave in 5 minutes and you're supposed to evacuate, but my time is up in 5 minutes and, well, tough.
Marcia, in my experience is that we have been able to compensate providers for emergency work above and beyond their normal hours, even if it's an after the fact type of situation. I've never ran into a time when those hours have not been paid. So I mean, I think that there's some, some comfort in knowing that. And I mean, I don't know, Jenny, like if there's I am not
Yeah.
really
So
skilled in the contract or like how all
yeah,
that works. All I know is that I'm able to say in a moment's notice, do this.
yeah.
It's okay to
Marcia,
do this.
there is a provision in the collective bargaining agreement that if there is an emergent situation, the home care worker can provide that assistance. And as long as they notify the case manager, I think it's within 2 business days or 2 days, that they're able to be approved for working those extra hours. And then also usually when there's a sort of some sort of weather event or something like that, where a home care worker may need to take somebody to a cooling center or a shelter or a warming center, that we send out emails to the home care workers to let them know that if they provide assistance to a consumer, that they'll receive payment while doing that.
Okay, well, maybe it could be put in print material somehow for providers to know ahead of time that in the case that this should happen, that there's provisions for uh, their pay and it's already pre-established. Thank you.
Nikki, Paul has his hand up too.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Nikki. This is helpful information, and I just thought, and I assume this is probably something that could be done or has been done, but as you're aware, so all in-home consumers, like with APD, have to have a backup plan created that their case manager reviews with them, basically for these types of scenarios. And I just think this is, again, very important and helpful information. And wondering if, and I'm ignorant question here, I just don't know if some of this information has been adequately trained on for case managers, so that when case managers are working to put together service plans, which include backup plans, if all this information is processed in such a way that they could develop that plan and incorporate answers to many of these good questions, like the go bag, for example. Yeah, so I'm just wondering or suggesting, if not, maybe we could talk to the training unit and ensure that this important information and much of your work is being trained on with case managers who work with the consumers in this area.
I don't know the answer to that, Paul. I have not seen the specific training for chefs for case managers. I know that it is trained upon to some degree, but the context I'm not sure. So I made a note to follow up with Tufts and just see if I can look and see what their curriculum is. And I know that there's some work that's being done on the risk assessment side, which will also help case managers be able to navigate, folks' risk with them and such too. So I think that that's on the horizon as well. But I did make a note of that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I just don't want to run out of time. I only have like 5 minutes left, and I want to honor my time. If I can go over, great. If not, I will try to cruise through this just a little bit and then loop back around if I need to. Some other things to consider is whether you're able to stay in a shelter. We all know that shelters are not ideal for everybody. We all know that they're not, the most desired location for anybody, but sometimes shelter is the only option. And, are you able to stay in a shelter, and what do you need in order to be able to stay in the shelter? Again, some things to prepare for and conversations to have with your with the case managers. Do you have pets, and have you planned for your pets? Sometimes shelters will take pets, sometimes they won't. Depending on the pets, sometimes pets are not shelter friendly pets. They're horses and cows and goats and pigs and those types of things. So do you have a plan for your pets? Again, something to prepare for. Go bags are really important, and I'll talk a little bit more about go bags in just a second. But do you have one? Do you know what should be in your go bag? If not, there's a lot of resources out there. And at the end of the slide, I put a few links to some resources. But in general, if you consider the 6 Ps, so consider the people, that you need to plan for in your go bags. So is it just yourself? Do you have a spouse? Do you have, you know, another individual that's living in your household that you need to plan for as well? Plan for your pets. Do you need vet records? Sometimes shelters will require vet records in order to go, you know, have a companion dog or service dog or animal to go with you. Do you have your pills? Do you have an adequate supply of your pills? That can get a little challenging sometimes. But again, something to plan and prepare for. What about your own papers? Do you have your driver's license? Do you have your passport? Do you have your own medical records? Do you have anything that it would be really challenging to replace? Deeds to your home, or you know, things that would be hard to access or replace, you would want to put copies of those in your go bags. Photographs are irreplaceable. So are there special photos that you want to have that you don't want, you know, destroyed, or, you know, can you make copies of those photographs to have, and keep them either in your go bag, or do you have a family member or a friend that you could keep a little box, you know, of special photographs at their homes in case something happens to your home? Plastic or cash. So we live in a pretty plastic society anymore. So do you have your debit card? Do you have your credit cards? Do you have cash that you need? Those would all be things that you would want to consider for your go bags, in addition to anything that would help you meet your own personal needs. I've heard lots of stories about people leaving their homes, you know, and they forget their toothbrushes, or they forget their incontinence supplies, or you know, they forget their, you know, special brush, or, you know, something that's going to make evacuating just a little bit more comfortable and, you know, necessary if you're in a different place other than the comforts of your own home. Phone chargers, or backup batteries for CPAP machines, anything that is going to be really vital for your health and wellness, you'll want to think about in your go bags. The other thing I think it's really important to consider is what happens if you have to shelter in place versus evacuating. And usually those are during like ice storms or winter storms where, you know, it may not be ideal to be out on the roadways. You would want to have to, you know, plan and consider, what do I need for sheltering in place? You know, if you have a power supply need, because you have medical equipment that requires power to run off of, do you have portable power stations? Do you have a generator that is, you know, easy for you to run and use? Just again, things to consider. Do you have extra supplies in your home to keep you warm or cool? So extra blankets, warm clothing. On the flip side, you know, do you have fans and air conditioners and items to help keep you cool should you have to shelter in place? Usually you want to consider either in evacuation or sheltering, supplies for 72 hours. So medications for 72 hours, personal care supplies for 72 hours. Think about the food supply that you have. Do you have canned foods? Do you have non-perishable food items that would last you for that 72-hour period of time, and water supply that would last you that period of time? And then what happens, and this is that kind of backup planning that's really important to work with case managers on, is what happens if your home care worker can't get to you. So in a Portland ice storm, the roadways, they pretty much shut down. If your home care worker can't get to you, do you have what you need, or do you have, you know, a mechanism to be able to call 911 if, you know, a bedbound individual, for example, that relies on a home care worker to come in, that's going to be pretty dangerous to have them without supports for an extended period of time. So it's all about thinking through what your special needs might be and how to mitigate and keep yourself safe during emergency events. Sometimes it's hard to plan for that when you don't know. But it, you know, kind of thinking through a scenario and what would it look like if I had to leave my home or if I needed to stay in place. And I just added a couple resources here. This Or Alerts site, you can enter your zip code in here and it will link you to the emergency notification specific to your county. Different counties have different ways of alerting folks of emergencies. So this is a really great resource because it'll take you right there and you can sign up for the notification that is pertinent to where you live. And then this ready.gov site has a ton of information about creating go kits, how to create emergency plans, tons and tons of resource information for you to access. Any final questions? I think I probably went over just a couple minutes. Sorry, Jenny and team.
No, you don't have to apologize for that. The information you're sharing is fantastic and really important. So we thank you for that. I just wanted to remind people who are receiving in-home services can also request emergency to-go bags through their case managers. That was a benefit that was added through when we had ARPA funds, we were able to purchase those to-go bags. So that is, if that's something that's needed, you contact the case manager. And if you need the help of a home care worker during that time, you could also request one for your home care worker.
The backup power packs are also part of that same transmittal, Jenny, too. So there's
thank you.
That's out there as well.
Nikki, Randy has her hand up.
Hi, Randy.
Hi, Nikki. So, actually, I was going to comment on the emergency bags. I will say that actually, I do sometimes multitask a little bit, and right at this minute, I'm multitasking a little bit because the problem with the emergency bag deployment is that we can't get them. And the reason why, for my agency, for example, is because they come on pallets and it's a huge storage situation. And so, for example, I know I'm not the only agency that's experiencing this. So we keep getting messages from consumers saying, we hear that you can get us an emergency bag, but the problem is the bags come on pallets. The pallets are 4 by 4 feet. They can't stack. And if you got 1,000, like I would like to do, we just don't have a place to put them. And so I have been reaching out to our member governments trying to find space. I am doing everything I can to try to find a location. So I know that I think some of the other agencies are also struggling with this issue. And so people are calling us saying, can we have a bag? And we're saying we don't have a way to get them and save them for the amount of time it would be to be deployed. So Nikki, I don't know if you have any good creative solutions about that, but I would be surprised if you're deploying as many as those as you think that you were going to, and it's because we just don't know what to do with them until we can get them out to people.
Randy, could you just shoot me a quick email and just, hey, I talked to you about this just so that I don't lose sight of it. I can loop back to OREM and see if they have any solutions. And because sometimes they have some centralized storage locations that I mean, I'm not promising anything by any means, but I can just ask some questions to see if they have any solutions because it doesn't do any good to have these bags available to folks if we can't get them out to people. So, and I'm
I
not
would
sure that
appreciate that. I'll
anybody
send
is
you an
aware.
email.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
Christy,
you.
we've been emailing Christy and saying how big
Oh,
are they?
okay.
We've been, but so we've been communicative about the fact that we're just having and they come on pallets. So
Yeah.
usually they want a forklift to be able to lift them off the truck. I mean, there's all this stuff that an area agency on aging doesn't have, right? And so we were like, we could put them in cubicles, but we'd have to unpack them, but we can't even get them off the truck. So
Yeah.
it's definitely been a little bit of a barrier.
Okay.
Nikki, I wonder also if an option, and we'd have to explore it, and we're happy to, if there's any storage space at the HSB central office building and Randy's team, like it's easily drivable to, it's a location where Northwest Senior and Disability Services could go to, Oregon Cascades West could go to. So why don't we see if that might be a possibility too? I can check in with JD and JD Tilford and facilities to see if, that might even be an option.
Okay, let's connect, Jenny. Let's our heads together and see if we can figure out how to manage that storage issue a little bit. I do know that offices are like cramming conference rooms and cubicles and things. So, but it sounds like there's also another layer to that and just being able to get them unloaded. So, okay. See
Yeah,
what we can do,
you.
Randy. Thank you for
Thank you.
bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. I didn't know that.
Nikki, this is Commissioner Adams. We have an office down here. It's called the Rogue Valley Council of Governments that serves 2 counties, Jackson and Josephine. If you want to be connected to the Rogue Valley Council of Governments down here, that would be a good place to store some of your stuff for both counties. That could be a full coverage for APD down here.
Okay, good to know. I'm familiar with them. I've worked a little bit with some different emergency kind of preparedness type activities. So yeah, that's a good resource. Thank you.
Marsha Wunsel here quickly. You might consider contacting the military or the National Guard logistics department. They are responsible for getting goods here, there, and everywhere. And it's good practice for the emergency kits for when the big one comes, for getting more goods. It'll help establish ways to get more than just the go bag somewhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right. Thanks for having me, everybody. If I can provide any assistance, future state, please holler at me. I'm always available. So have a great day.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Nikki.
Bye.
Okay, we have our agenda up and we are to take a break. I've been requested at noontime. So next we have it looks like Employer Resource Connection, Nancy James.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I did send all of the reports and you should have received them all, but there's been, where I haven't been to this meeting for a while because I was doing double duty with Provider Navigator and ERC for a while. So I wanted to go ahead and give you the updates to what's been going on with the program. If you have any questions about the statistics, you can shoot an email to me or send it to Jenny, and I'll be more than happy to talk, walk you through it if you want. So our ERC updates, our new contracts were put in place July of last year. The consultants can provide as much or as little time with a consumer representative as needed. They can also purchase items such as binders, folders, things like that, and the OHCC will reimburse them for it. And they put these binders together with the materials, and that's the consumer's workbook on what they need and what they need to think about, things like that. Most of the contractors provide what's called Linking Consumers to Providers program, which was an ARPA initiative. It was from July, we served it from July 1st last year until February 28th this year. And it allowed 15 hours per new hiring event for each consumer or representative. And from the July until February, the contractors were given a $100 bonus for a successful hiring event where the worker provided services for 2 months. And that ended with our ARPA funding. We are still continuing to provide the Linking Consumers to Provider program. This program allows the consultants to pre-screen potential workers, and a little more hands-on during the interview and reference check process, meaning they can actually ask the questions as long as the consumer and the worker and the consumer and the consultant worked on the questions together. The consumer has to be in those interviews and reference checks. They have to make the final decision. So that's what that program is. The best way that we described it is ERC works beside consumers, and the linking consumer program works on behalf of, but only during the hiring portions. We're currently working on contract amendments to change the linking consumers program to 30 hours per year instead of 15 hours per hiring event. And then I'm going to put in language to reimburse contractors for language services. And those should be going over to the Office of Contracts and Procurement soon. We have had some interesting developments. The consultants, OHCC staff, and assistants from program management created 3 new documents regarding releasing consumers from the ERC services. And this is when there's abusive behavior on the part of the consumer or the representative, unsafe work environment, that we've had a discrimination or harassment situation, unwillingness to participate in the employer as the employer of record for their role. They don't want to do their role. So one of these documents is called Ongoing Concerns, and that documents these situations. The consultant will send it to me and then I will send it on to program management with my suggestion for the determination. We don't take these lightly, ever. That's why I always send it on to, especially the APD, I always send it on to to Jenny, and then also Paul, who has received several of these himself. Then we also have the release from the ERC's document, which is after they've done the ongoing concerns and the determination is made that this is going to happen. That is sent to the case manager, OHCC, and the program management, so that the consumer can be helped by the program. And then we have a release from ERC's services letter sent to the consumer with the information on how to contact their case manager and how to utilize Carina. As I said, this has only been used in extreme cases each time, and it's not without a lot of due consideration. So this was, and I said, the consultants and the staff and other staff really worked together to create these documents. Currently, we have the ERC consumer materials being updated in publications, and we're getting closer to being done. Yay. And earlier this year, Carina was recently updated to allow the consultants from the same contractor to update consumer job posts within that contractor. That enables the consultants to take time off without needing to provide their coworkers with their Carina login information. That was a real problem for us. So it's been a great help to the consultants to be able to go in, update it, look at what's going on, and then communicate with the workers. So those were all the big ones all the big changes that have happened since the last time I saw you all. Does anyone have any questions about what I talked about?
I just want to thank Nancy for all the incredible work she's been doing with the Employer Resource Connection, the linking consumers and to providers, and the Provider Navigator program. She really had a lot on her plate, and she's done a fantastic job. And I really thank her for the work that she's been doing. And it's making a difference to people. It's making a difference for consumers and people who are looking for jobs, and who are trying to join this workforce. So thank you, Nancy, for all that great work you've been doing.
You.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nancy,
George has a question.
yeah, Nancy, have you tried to compare notes of the chart that you showed us to the employers that are hiring caregivers?
That would be, I don't have access to all the consumer data, so I would not be able to do that. That would have to take a report that I don't have access to.
Okay. I was just curious.
No problem. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right, well, thank you. And if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me.
Thank you. Okay, we have a budget report.
Good morning, all. My
Yes,
name's Kola.
thank you.
I'm your resident budget analyst here. So I know you guys are trying to get a break in at noon, so I will not be a man of many words and try and get through this quickly for you. So technically, the biennium ended at the end of June. So we have mostly a final picture of what spending will look like in what is now last biennium. All that's left is some lagging services and supplies invoices, which should be around $230,000. So we pretty much have a complete picture here. Bottom line, overall, we're ending well under budget for state money, around 1.4 million. Oops, sorry, 1 second here.
Cola, I'm sorry. Did you want me to go back?
I could also just
There.
share myself. That way I could kind of just steer if that works for you.
Oh, okay. I will stop sharing then.
Alrighty, that is the one I'm sharing. Alrighty, so yeah, bottom line overall, we're ending well under budget for state money, around 1.4 million under in general fund and other funds, around $600,000 over in federal funds. So you see that's a little over right there, that 120%. The overspend in federal funds, it's due largely to the increased federal match we've received over the biennium. And that can easily be covered by savings elsewhere in the APD budget, so that is not a concern. Here, expenditures by budget category. This is rolling 6 months, oops, broken out by budget category. Since we last spoke, spending has ticked up a bit the past 3 months. You can see here trending upwards, but it's not in an unreasonable nor an unforeseen way. Expenditures have been pretty close to what was projected. April spending was a little atypically lower as were these past few months, so the overall trend upwards is not quite as steep as it looks there. Let's see, scrolling down here. Here we have services and supplies spending over the past 6 months. Though S&S spending is more variable than overall spending, when looked at across the biennium, it has trended upwards slightly as expected. So again, not as steep as it may look there. We have some kind of one-off expenditures. You'll see the abnormal orange there, and we've got the kind of darker blue there. The orange is some attorney general legal fees in March. The blue is some IT professional services contracts in May. And that was basically a refi of some ARPA expenditures. So we were able to kind of save some money there by leveraging some leftover ARPA money. So that's kind of why that negative green one is there. Oh, let's see. Next, sign language and interpreters spending. This has been variable. You see there March and May, likely due to lag in invoice processing, but this averages about $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Let's see here. So blue, this corresponds with, if you're following along, if you have a copy yourself, this tracks with the colors in this main chart here. So blue right here, it's our largest budget area, comprised about 9.7 million of the Home Care Commission's $11 million overall budget. This is the main area where we do have some lagging SNX services and supplies expenditures through the chargeback period. So there are still some expenditures hitting what's technically now last biennium, and that can go through to the end of December, though typically it's kind of tapers off around September. Our burn rate right now, about 91%, but with the SNS, that should probably land around 93%. So we're under budget there. Here we have our breakdown by unit. This, where you see us being over budget here, that's again where we've been able to leverage more federal funds. So that is perfectly okay. Here we have the trend over the past 6 months for payroll and for services and supplies. The dark blue there is the payroll. The light blue is the services and supplies. Let's see, you can see the dark blues trending ever so slightly upwards. That's an increase. Honestly, we're expecting to see, excuse me, I can clear my throat here. Where is my mute button? Oops. Glad I can mute myself when I do that. So that was basically an increase we're expecting to see earlier in the biennium from cost of living adjustments for staff, but that was offset by some folks going on leave. So we just started to see that hit just at the tail end of the biennium. So that's just trending ever so slightly upwards. For service and supplies, that looks a little steeper, but if you zoom out a little bit and look at the biennium as a whole, it's kind of trending just upwards as you'd expect. So overall in the biennium looks a lot less steep than that. Let's see here. You can see in blue, that's all the extra federal money we've been able to leverage over a good chunk of the biennium to create that savings in state money. So the fund split essentially is 60% general funds and 40% federal funds, and that's been where it's been hitting for the past long while. Let's see, next here we've got our developmental disability and mental health budget area. Our overall budget, 780,000 in total funds. It did come in slightly higher than expected. This is another area where we've been able to leverage more federal dollars. So in going over here is perfectly okay. Next budget area, we've got our traditional health workers. This is a relatively small budget area, just 88,000 for the biennium. Spending here was pretty low, about 39% burn rate. Next in purple, going down here, we've got our enhanced and exceptional workers, slightly larger, but still relatively small when taking our whole budget altogether. Budget of 163,000. Again, spending was relatively low, 49,000. Burn rate of about 30%. Our final budget area, our training stipend, budget a little over just $1 million. On this one, our spending tracked pretty close, so about 94%. Rate in line with what we'd hope to see there. And a little bit of training revenue came in last month after that has not moved in a while as well. And that is everything I got for you guys. So if you're looking for 12 o'clock break, you've got 4 minutes for questions here.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Adams. With the funding having problems with the federal dollars and the state, have you had any trouble or this Home Care Commission had any problems with funding so far?
Not so far. I'll share with you my understanding, but there are others in APD who have kind of a more robust understanding of this, so please take it with a grain of salt. The main impact on APD, aging and people with disabilities, is going to be the cap on the provider tax. So that's going to be kind of, right now the cap is 6%, which is, it's basically a way for us to leverage Medicaid funding. Right now the cap is 6%, and I think by 2030 or 2032, the cap's going to go down to 3%, and it doesn't phase in for a couple years. So it's really not going to likely start having a direct impact on the overall APD budget until not what's now this biennium, 25-27, but not until say 2027 or 2028. Honestly, the areas packed are like self-sufficiency with the work requirements. So it's probably just going to squeeze the state budget overall, but not really as much direct impact on the Home Care Commission. But I'm sure just the overall picture is going to squeeze us a little bit. But again, not now and not for the immediate future.
Is that also gonna crunch Jenny's, not obligation, but, preference to bring on more people on administration?
I don't know directly now. Like I said, like there's not going to be really an immediate impact for this biennium. I kind of want to not speculate if I can on further down the line, but as I said, right now, no immediate impacts.
I don't see any other questions.
Cool. Thank you all. Appreciate what you do, and good to see you, and I'll see you again in a few months.
Thank you, Cola.
Bye-bye.
Marcia, do we want to take our break now?
I was instructed that we are taking one at noon. So is that the way it is? I don't know if
Heidi, when do we come back? How long is our break?
Looks like 15 minutes, Jenny.
Okay, thank you. So everybody back at 12:15? And
Yep.
just as a reminder, the recording will continue to go on during the break time.
Okay, we'll see you at 12:15. Thank you.
Heidi? Hey, Jenny? Did you get the stuff that I sent you?
Yeah, the emails, the links. Yeah, thank you, George. I haven't had a chance to read them yet.
I sent the commissioners a lot of the important stuff also.
Oh, great. Good. Thank you for doing that.
There is a meeting going on August 13th. It's Medicaid/Medicare, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if I sent anybody that.
Hello. It's 12:15. Anyone back from break?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yep.
Buenas tardes.
I'm back.
All righty.
Before we go on, Ms. Chair,
Yes.
did all the commissioners get the inside infos of all the emails I sent you from Washington DC?
I did, I believe.
Believe so.
Okay, because I sent every one of you the infos.
And you got them from Washington?
Washington DC, yes.
Who sent them to you?
Someone from DC.
Okay.
Marcia, would you like me to start talking about the bylaws?
Yes, I think we should go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just want to echo what Paul said earlier about all the work that the commissioners did on reviewing the bylaws. I think you made some really great changes. It had been a while since the bylaws were reviewed and edited. So thank you for all the work that you did on that. We'll just go over briefly some of the changes and then it'll be open to you to make a motion and to vote whether to approve the new bylaws or revised bylaws. After I sent this out, Mary had some great suggestions that we've incorporated into the bylaws. And then David also met with the DD Mental Health Committee for their feedback about their portion of the bylaws, and he'll talk to you about that. So if you wouldn't mind making this more full screen for maybe that's my problem. Hold on a second. Oh, now I can see it much better. So I made track changes. I took all the suggestions, everybody had all the edits and put it in a document so that you could see what those changes were. So if you wouldn't mind going down. So far there isn't anything like substantial. Okay, so if we look at, oh, sorry, go back up right there under vacancies. So information that was added that in case of a vacancy, the governor will appoint a successor, but we wanted to make sure that was based on the commission's recommendation. So that information was added. If you wouldn't mind scrolling down slowly. There was a suggestion to change chairperson and vice chairperson to just chair and vice chair, and those changes were made. Information was added that if the chair and vice chair were not present, that the executive director would make arrangements for the facilitation of the meeting. And I always choose to elect David Vining to do that, whether he wants to or not. We changed the reference to Robert's Rules of Order to Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. And Mary was going to see if she had some like cheat sheets for us on some of like the common Robert's Rules of Order that we could familiarize ourselves with. I'm not sure, Mary, if you were able to find that information or not.
I thought I had it readily available, and now I find that I'm going to have to dig in some of my files.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind scrolling down, Heidi. So some changes to member responsibilities and compensation that was more clearly delineated between what the member responsibilities are and what the compensation information is. We added in there that members are responsible to review the membership handbook for boards and commissions that's published by the governor's office, as well as commissioners should read the commissioner manual, which includes policies and procedures. Both of those, or the commissioner manual is available on our website. You get the membership handbook for boards and commissions from the governor's office when you are appointed. Okay, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down.
Jenny, before you go farther.
Yeah.
Maybe this is somewhere else in the document. Should we add under member responsibilities the annual trainings that we are responsible to take?
It's right there in capital B. Sorry, I kind of blew over that one. And to complete all required training as members of boards and commissions.
I see it.
Thank you, Paul, for pointing that out, that I had stopped at half of that sentence. So we didn't take little d out, we just moved it up.
That's too fast.
Okay, so nothing's really changed in that section other than moving things around.
Okay.
We made sure to add personal care attendants when we were also referencing personal support workers to more accurately reflect the terminology that is used. Technically, in statute, personal care attendants are personal support workers, but personal care attendants are called personal care attendants in the programs that they work in. So we wanted to make sure we reflected that in our bylaws. We also made some changes on the oversee the development and approval of 2018 Senate Bill 1534 mandatory orientation core training refresher. So that's already happened. So we made revisions to more accurately reflect what we're doing now. So we're reviewing, make recommendations, and approve training curriculum submitted by CareWell SCIU 503, including mandatory orientation, core training, continuing education requirements, worker assessments, ongoing program evaluation, and review of expected outcomes. We included information in that next bullet point that we will work to maintain and fulfill our current strategic plan and update it as needed. So instead of just focusing on that strategic workforce development plan, we actually have our own new strategic plan that we'll continue to update. We removed, sorry, go back up. There was mention of and/or referral and retention benefit. I was not able to find that reference anywhere. It's not in statute or the Constitution, so we removed it. We included that we'll work collaboratively with CareWell SCIU 503, advocacy councils and commissions. Again, things that we were already doing, but we want to see reflected in our bylaws. Paul?
Just a thought occurred to me, and maybe it's here again, possibly. Did we, or do we need to, or did we include any information regarding, what's the term, respite worker or something like that? The commission's, isn't there something somewhere about the commission's responsibility regarding respite workers or relief workers or anything like that? Is there, or am I drawing a blank on that?
No, I believe that is in the
Constitution?
Yes, thank you. Heidi, will you do a control F and see if we have respite in there? It might be under what our duties are, and we might not have made changes to all those.
Yeah, it occurred to me it might be a duty we would want to include. If it's not, I don't know.
Okay, we'll have to look at that language.
There are no matches, Jenny.
Okay. Okay, so we'll have to look at that language, Paul, to see what we'll look at the statute and see what it says and whether we want to be like very prescriptive as to all of that too. So, and that'll be up to the commissioners whether you want to include all that information or not. So we'll be happy to do whatever it is you'd like to do. We also included or other types of other provider types authorized by state and federal legislation just to prepare in the future if there are any other provider types that come under our purview. We wanted to add that to our bylaws. Person-centered goals was added. Change senior to older adults, since that's usually the terminology we use now. Make it clear that commission members will not publicly represent the commission related to proposed legislation. Paul, did you have another question? Or
No,
comment?
just stretching my arms. I'll put it down.
Oh, okay. We did a lot of work on the ballot election guidelines. So commissioners who nominate themselves or accept a nomination to serve as chair or vice chair will have their names placed on the ballot. The preference, what is for individuals, oh, there's a typo there that I put in there under B, Heidi. It is preferred that the chair and vice chair be individuals receiving or who have received, that should be or, who have received Medicaid and home services. So originally it was just receiving services, but I went back to the statute and the language in there said for it to be a commissioner, somebody that receives or has received Medicaid and home services. It looks like, I don't know whose hand up was up first, George or Marcia.
Me. I'm glad you caught that because I was reading that the other day and I'm like, OW, what is OW?
I'm so
Glad
sorry.
you caught that. But my one thing is, when we got back to the registry, way in the back on I think it was 108. I would like to put in, if possible, what type of registry it is. The C registry.
So it's the one benefit of not being specific with the name Karina is that if there are changes to the contractor that Carewell SEIU 503 uses, you know, if they go to a different vendor and something other than Karina, we won't then need to change our bylaws if we just have a more general registry on there.
Okay, I'll agree with that. Okay.
Okay. And Marcia. Marcia, I see you have your hand up.
I'm on mute. I'm on mute. Okay. Going back a ways, I saw scrolling past me very fast. Person-centered goals and services. Did we include there also person-centered care? Because they are very different.
Yeah, we have person-centered goals and services, and usually, and I'll leave this up to the commissioners, of course, but usually we refer to services and supports instead of using care. But if you'd rather see care in there, we can make those changes.
Well, one of the big differences I understand from Agency with Choice is that they use a person centered planning and person centered services, but they do not say person centered care. That to me is hands on at the time as the person wishes, not someone doing planning on a computer in an office for things that they might like, a consumer might like. They're really different. And I think that's our distinction between Agency with Choice and ourselves. And it needs to come out clearly that this is our difference. That's my opinion.
So it says person-centered goals and services. What change would you like to see there?
Maybe something like
Marcia, this is Paul Johnson. Before
yes, help me. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, you're doing great. There is a distinction in thought between person-centered planning and person-centered care. Person-centered care is, if you will, the umbrella, using that analogy, that obviously is so important and should be the basis of everything. And then person-centered planning is saying, how can we implement person-centered care in this individual service plan, in the services and supports that they receive. So so they both focus on the same thing. Maybe person-centered planning that you mentioned, that AWC, the Agency with Choice, made reference, is just kind of focusing what person-centered care looks like at an individual level when a plan is being put together, if that helps.
Hey, well, I'm thinking of, as a consumer, person-centered care as being in the moment, hands-on, when you choose to do something the way you prefer, and the provider does it in what they consider the general plan or whatever. They're not considering your wish. For instance, if you want time in the morning to drink your coffee before you get a bed bath, you have the right to choose that for your care. And
So is goals the right word there? 'Cause we usually say services and supports when we're talking about people who are, the care that they're getting, instead of using the word care. But is it person, instead of like a goal, is it like, what's another word for a goal? Or it's not my goal to have person-centered services. The directive is you do provide me person-centered services. So what does that look like? So is it a person-centered?
it's delivered through person-centered care.
I would have to agree with Marcia.
So here's the sentence. The commission will also ensure the following are not compromised or reduced. And some of this does come out of statute too, by the way. Adequate hours, consumer choice. It used to be just person-centered services. We added goals. Activities and supports, adult support services and home care services provided to older adults and people with disabilities or their families. So if we look at where it says person-centered goals and services, what do you want that to say instead?
Could I suggest that says, and then Marcia, you guys know better than I, so if this resonates, but some of the terminology we use in this conversation, person-centered goals, preferences, and services. We often talk about preferences, desires, or cultural traditions, and anyway, but maybe person-centered goals, desires, goals, preferences, and services. Would that cover the thought you're presenting?
Maybe it's two sentences. Maybe the last one is delivered at all times through person-centered care. There's a big
So you would,
or we could put consumer choice, comma, the provision of person-centered services and supports, and like recognition of person-centered goals and preferences. Like, is there a way we can still put it in like a list of?
I feel strongly it
ensure?
must be delivered through person-centered care. Someone in
have
an
an
office can have
idea.
goals. Yeah.
Let's see. I have an idea. What if we put here person-centered care, goals, and services?
I think one of the things that if I'm hearing Marcia right, is it's also these services need to be delivered in a person-centered way. So maybe we say, what do you think about delivery of, the provision of person-centered care, or the delivery of person-centered care, or recognition of person-centered care. Is there like a word that needs to go before person-centered, or is what Heidi's recommendation, does that cover what you're wanting?
Here.
Yeah, I think I know what Marcia's going at. There's a big difference between goals and care. Care is what you've been taken care of, and goals would be more like getting a cup of coffee or doing weightlifting. Those are goals, which are totally different than just care itself.
Yeah, right, understood. It looks like Leslie has her hand up.
Yeah, I don't know what y'all think about this, but I'm thinking about services and then in parentheses, including direct care in parentheses. It was just that I personally prefer direct care to care only because it feels more specific to me. Just a thought.
Or delivered through person-centered care, where the person themselves makes individual small choices. The way it is in the document sounds like someone has talked to you, like it appears on my care plan that someday I'd like to write a book. That's a goal sometime, and that's person on that I would like to do. But it does not ensure that I, as a consumer, get my choice in how different aspects of my personal care to my body are done.
Okay. So what about consumer choice, comma, the delivery of person-centered care, comma, individual goals and services? Does that cover it? But what do you think of the word delivery of person-centered care, or the an individual's ability to direct their person-centered care?
Okay.
Unless you want to like, just tell me what words you want in there. What do you want that sentence, that part of the sentence to say, so that we can make a change if everybody's in agreement to that?
What I feel is that what's done administratively through case manager and their assessment and things, that's about the first sentence. But then it says, then I would need to see that it's delivered through person-centered care. That's the part I need to direct on my own.
Okay, so Paul has a recommendation in the chat. The commission shall also ensure the following are prioritizing person-centered preferences and goals, and are not compromised or reduced. Adequate hours, consumer choice, services, activities, and supports, and then the rest of the sentence.
Okay. Well, here I'll go back to the major difference when we looked at agency with care. They said that they would provide person-centered planning. That's somebody else doing the planning. Person-centered care is the receiver of the care, directing the care. That's the difference, I see.
Yeah, will you please go back to that section, Heidi?
Right here. Jenny?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, that part. Okay. What do you think about then? The commission shall also ensure the following are not compromised or reduced: adequate hours, consumer choice, the individual's ability to direct their person-centered care.
Yes. You better.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time reading this on my cell phone.
Okay, so let's reread it here. So following are not compromised or reduced: adequate hours, consumer choice, the individual's ability to direct their own person-centered care.
Yep.
Okay, their
That's better.
own person-centered care. To direct their person-centered care goals and services. Okay, do the other commissioners agree with that addition?
Yes, but then you say the activities and supports. How many commas are you gonna put in there?
So maybe we should put, we can also put semicolon so that individuals' ability to direct their person-centered care, services, activities, and supports, and then semicolon goals,
You could all,
semicolon adult support services, semicolon.
you maybe could bullet point those, so that would be a bullet point list. I don't know if that's appropriate for bylaws, but
Yeah,
That's a good point.
we can change the formatting so that it is more of a list form.
What is
But if
this mark here? I've never seen this before.
what?
This little thing at the bottom. It won't go away.
Oh, no, because I think track changes are on.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So if you're fine with the individual's ability to direct their person-centered care, services, activities, and supports, and then we can change it to a list view and have goals in there as well.
yeah, I like that. What if it added in, we don't want to get it so wordy and can't add everything, but the individual's rights and ability. In other words, they were saying it's this is self-directed, it's your right and ability, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. The individual's right and ability to direct their own care.
Yeah. And I think that clearly is showing, forgive my bias here, that I believe this services, in-home services are really providing or endeavoring to person-centered care as much as agency with choice is endeavoring to do so.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'm not so sure. Agency with choice says they want to do person-centered planning. They say nothing about the individual's right to direct their care.
So does the change, Marcia, we need to focus on these bylaws because we're running behind and we still have elections. So for our purposes, does this language, regardless of what agency with choice is doing, does this wording sound right now for our bylaws?
For me, as long as it has person-centered care in it, it's fine.
Okay. So Heidi, if you make a little note there to change this to more of a list format.
You might consider, instead of goals, you might consider the word planning or plan, because goals are part of that process. Just person-centered care, planning, and services.
The thing that I'm seeing,
because I don't see planning in there any other place.
The thing that I'm seeing is if you have one and, two ands, three ands in there. If you put too many ands, in a sentence.
Yeah, we can fix that. And that's why the suggestion was made to make it more of a list.
Mhm.
So the new question is, do we include the term planning into this document?
My preference would be, and just simply speaking individual here is, I mean, planning may be included, but when we talk about person-centered care, what we're talking about is what are the deepest desires and interests, what are the values that that individual has and that they want reflected in their care. So it has to do with, often we use the term desires, preferences, goals, traditions, or when it comes to cultural, maybe traditions or norms. We're getting to what is dear to the individual, and therefore how they want their care to be delivered in a way that meets those deepest desires when they think about how to receive the care that they need. So planning could be included in there, but goals is kind of outcomes often maybe could be used. It's just saying, how can this person receive the best life possible through the services that we provide? How could they be adapted or adjusted for the individual so that they receive the services in a way that is most meaningful to them?
I also see where it says supports, adult support services. There's like two different type of supports, meaning one support.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I don't know what adult support services, how that's different than just regular services and supports.
That could be removed. It's probably a vague reference to adult day services, that type of thing.
Oh, that could be. Marcia, did you have another comment?
No.
Oh, okay, your hand was up.
Oh, I never took it yet. Bye.
Okay, so we will make this into a list. And then what did everybody come up, decide about planning?
If you want to put planning in there, I'll be fine with it.
You could also say the individual's right and ability to direct their person-centered, uh, I forgot what I was going to say. The individual's right and ability to create a person-centered plan and direct their person-centered care.
How about if we just said right and ability to direct their person-centered care goals and service planning activities and supports?
Goals, service planning. Okay, say it again.
But
Direct their
Direct their
person-centered
person-centered care goals and service planning
and service planning.
Oh, that's a good idea.
activities and supports. And then I would suggest removing adult support services because that seems to be referring to a program that's not, I don't know that necessarily helps it.
Okay, so we can fix that area.
but we're leaving in person-centered care.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
And I
So,
rest my case. I'm sorry,
okay.
folks.
Nope,
but
that's great.
Vitally important to my life.
Yes, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
It should be service planning rather than plural.
Yeah, that you can't see that the S is struck.
Oh, it is. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, let's scroll down. I've let Nadja know that we're running behind. Okay. So this was an area that we really needed a lot of work on. So again, prefer that the chair and vice chair be individuals receiving or who have received Medicaid in-home services. Eligible candidates must have served on the commission a minimum of 1 year and have at least 1 year remaining on their term. Heidi, will you scroll down? The chair or vice chair may run again for their current position as long as they do not exceed 6 years in that position. Nominated candidates must speak to the commission regarding their qualifications for the nominated position prior to the election. So everybody will be doing that today who is running. instead of fiscal biennium, we changed it to 2 years in August because that's more understandable, or as deemed necessary by the commission. Commission leadership offices, the chair and the vice chair will be elected by the commission for 2-year terms. The chair and vice chair may serve up to 6 years in their position unless extended by vote of the commission. In the event of an unexpected vacancy in the chair or vice chair role, the commission shall appoint an interim chair or vice chair from existing commissioners until a new chair or vice chair is elected. And I think we really saw the importance of that when Ruth left us unexpectedly, and we didn't have that provision in our bylaws. Duties. Let's see, is there anything new? So carry out the duties outlined in the Oregon Constitution. Go down, please. Nothing substantial under executive director. Keep going down. Okay, committees. We made some changes here to more accurately reflect what happens with each. So the chair of the commission will appoint the committee chair and membership subject to the final approval and vote of the commissioners. And then committee reporting, no changes other than changing chairperson. We made it clear that the Developmental Disabilities and Mental Health Committee is a standing committee. So David, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can talk about what the DD Mental Health Committee, the discussions they had around this section.
Why, thank you, my liege. So here, the main thing that you're seeing in this section is just updating the language to be more in line with language used by the communities. So intellectual and developmental disabilities instead of just developmental disabilities, and as well as including mental or behavioral health instead of just mental illness. So yeah, that's what you're seeing here. Heidi, if you'll scroll down. Updated the language as well to include personal care attendants, just like the rest. Fixed some of the issues here in who is on the DDMH committee. So this is reflective of saying that to be a member, no, you're going down, go back up. Yeah, there you go. Nope. Down there. Yeah, perfect right there. What was I saying? I got distracted by that. Oh, so the next thing here is that it specifically says that you need to be one of the members of the groups that were listed just above. And then the process is the same, essentially striking out letter E below after receiving approval from the commission. So they still have to come to you, but we realized this was a logical inconsistency here since not every committee member on DDMH would be a personal support worker or employ a personal support worker, especially if they already were, for example. So just catching that logic stuff. And then down here, fixing some of the stuff with the appointment terms, still 2 years, and also recognizing that here for the consecutive terms being the max that someone could serve, that until we are at a place where we actually have enough people that are coming in with interest, that those should go ahead and be waived if there's an insufficient number of new candidates that are applying and the person who is a committee member wants to continue to serve. So added that language in here.
David, just a comment on section 117, right up there, it should say standing committee appointment terms.
Oh, yep. Thank you for that, Mary and Heidi. So we added this or that language in there. And then finally down in section 1.18, Again, updated the language to be more inclusive of the communities. The committee actually felt that although 25 members does sound like a lot, it is a committee that is made up of two different communities. So feeling that that equal representation for each community needed to be there actually kept this number where it was. So, and that's all I have. Paul, I see your hands up.
Yeah, just briefly in reference to the numbers of the committee, the number of members. Has there ever been a time that, in your knowledge, where we've had 25 members, or what is the typical number that you work with of members?
Yeah, good question, Paul. No, to my experience and my knowledge, it has never reached 25. It's always been lacking, especially on the mental health side of things. The DD side has had a lot more engagement. So it's definitely an area that the committee is focused on recruiting into, and also I think is part of the work of just expanding the knowledge of the commission and getting more individuals in here.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I appreciate hearing the sentiment of the committee members. I think that's very important in your work with them. Obviously, in my mind, that number of 25 total members could still be pared down to a different number that would be, in my mind, more realistic. But it's not a deal breaker in my thinking regarding the bylaws. If we have two groups that are represented and we went down to 18, for example, total numbers where you'd be maybe 9 and 9 or something like that. I don't know. Just something that's a little more realistic to be achieved for the committee to fully function as it's stated.
Yeah, agreed, Paul. And I will point out that the committee did mention that the subsections small b and small c, they felt that could be an area where they could combine those two things, right? To where it's either two family members or advocates could be an easy spot there. So yeah, that's a good spot for that paring down. Also, I know that once we have more engagement from the actual state offices and agencies that are represented down in D and E, small d and small e, also our numbers will increase there. So part of it is just making sure that those individuals are not D, not E, just D. And part of it is just getting engagement with them again.
Okay, so just one more comment then. Going up to B and C, would it be appropriate now? I'm not asking you, David, necessarily to give this recommendation. I mean, you could give the recommendation. I'm asking the commissioners to maybe make that adjustment where it would say two family members or advocates. And so, in other words, to combine B and C, as you said, and pare down the numbers, that would eliminate what? Off the number of 25, that would eliminate, that's it, 4 individuals potentially as members. Anyway, is it worth that, entertaining that consideration that was just mentioned?
I see this as if when this gets done and there's advertising to this committee, I see this being taken off like a rocket. Adding more people on there.
I guess I would just leave it the way it is right now. And, you know, and in reality, if the committee itself wants to combine those two, that's fine. But I think since they just recently reviewed this and this is their final recommendations, that maybe we should honor that and just leave it the way it is right now.
I'll agree with you, Mary.
Thank you, George.
Right. Well, Jenny, that was the end of my section for you. Thank you,
Dave,
Commissioner.
David, I had some nits again.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Go up a little bit, please. Okay, the DDA committee, it should be standing in there as well in that first line. And then down at 119, section 119. That should also say standing committee. Thank you.
Okay, if we scroll on down, I don't believe there was any changes to conflict of interest. I did change he/she to they. And then this part about commissioners should read the commissioner manual. That was moved up to the responsibilities.
Jenny, I want to comment on A, section 121A. If you're going to say they, then you should probably say when members of the Home Care Commission are involved in an actual or potential conflict of interest, they will announce. Otherwise, you've
Heidi,
got.
will you please go back up so I can see what Mary's referring to? Okay.
Okay, you're
Okay.
talking, you took he and she and made it they. So if that's plural, then that other has to be plural. So when members of the Home Care Commission are involved in an actual or potential conflict of interest, they will publicly, they will announce publicly.
Okay. Any official action as members of the commission, right?
Yes.
Okay. And get rid of that A before members.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So the question to the commissioners, are you ready to move and vote on as to whether to approve these, knowing that we're going to change that one section to a list instead of a paragraph? Are you fine with the language that are in these bylaws currently? So that's the question to the commissioners, and whether you have a motion to adopt these.
I move to adopt these bylaws with the changes that are indicated here, as well as the section where we are going to make it more of a list than not. Anyway, I'm making a motion, we approve it. Commissioner Mayor, excuse me.
I will second that.
Okay, so it has been accepted.
Nope, you have discussion and then you make the.
Oh, sorry. Okay, any discussion? Further comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any not in favor? Speak now. Okay, it has been passed.
Hey.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So now that moves us to elections. And I sent an email yesterday just kind of giving you a heads up about what to expect today. We have 3 individuals who have submitted their names to either be the chair or vice chair. We'll be able to do the voting through Zoom. So Heidi will launch a poll that you will see, and you will vote for somebody for chair and somebody for vice chair. And then she'll get those results and she'll be able to make the announcement as to who was selected. Because everybody is running for both the 3 people are running for both offices. Obviously, if they both win, they win both roles, then they would select which one, and then the next highest person would get. that position. So based on your new bylaws, we would like the candidates to talk about their qualifications and their interest in the position. So why don't we start with Marcia?
Okay. Oops. All right. Jenny, first, I would appreciate you explaining, because I didn't understand until yesterday that I could still choose to be a chair, or can you explain exactly what the rule is?
Yes, it's kind of this challenging spot just because you don't technically have time left on your term, but you continue to get to be a commissioner because we don't have enough commissioners. So there's really not an end date at this point as to when your like time with us is no longer, time ends. So it is one of those interesting spots, and I guess it's we could leave that up to the commissioners as to the flexibility of whether to run or not. But as far as I can tell, because we're still trying to recruit members, we don't have a full commission. There is no immediate end date to your term.
Okay. I did not know this until yesterday and had not submitted my name because I thought it was the end of me. But so it's on there today, and I'm willing to carry on. I For qualifications, I guess I would just like to go back in history a step because I was mentored by Ruth, and for years upon years, and she and I were, well, we were sounding boards for each other, and I have learned so much from her, her devotion to what she was doing, and it has been contagious in my life. I also carry with me um, a lot of history, not just because I'm an old lady, but I've been around what's happened in Oregon government and in the Home Care Commission from a long time. And I think that gives me, hopefully, a bit of wisdom in making decisions. So the rest, I will just let you folks decide what you will. And thank you for all the experiences I've had with you. Thank you. So
Thank,
we
thank you,
have
Mark.
another? Yeah.
We do. George, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Okay. Through the years, I have been on committees, both chair and vice chair in my lifetime of 30 years. I have taken on years before with Jackson Care Connect with 3 positions all at the same time. Board director, chair, and vice chair of a committee. I feel that I have the qualifications and the skills to carry on into this committee if voted. If I am to only be accepted as a vice chair, I will do my best to help out the chair to my best abilities and to learn as I grow with this committee for futures on. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Mark, are you ready?
Yes, I am. I've been part of the Oregon Home Care Commission since, since 2010. I took a 3 year, I took 3 years off and I rejoined it. I am the chair of the Oregon Disability Commission. I've been doing advocating ever since I joined the long-term commission. I've been disabled for 45 years. I would like to use my experiences to share with everybody. And I've been on several committees throughout the year. And at one time, I was the chair of the DDMH. And I would like to be the chair or the vice chair and do whatever I can to help this commission. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Mark. Does anybody have any questions for our candidates? Okay, Heidi, are you with David's assistance able to launch the poll? Heidi?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see?
Yes.
Let's see. Here we go. I cannot make this any bigger, but I will read it. Who would you like to serve as chairperson? Marcia Wenzel, George Adams, or Mark King?
So each person
And
should be able to vote on those themselves, click submit, and you should be able to get all the results. Is everybody getting this on their own screen?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. And then the second question is, who would you like as vice chair?
Heidi, has everyone voted?
I'm not able to tell who's voted.
So there should be 5 votes. 5 people voted.
This one?
Yeah, you're good. You can end.
Yeah. Okay. End poll. There we go. And share results. Oh. Well, those are the results.
So it looks like Marcia Wenzel has been elected as the chair and George Adams has been elected as the vice chair. Congratulations.
Thank all of
Thank
you
you.
for being willing to be chair and vice chair. That's no small responsibility. This is such important work, and putting yourself out there as people to be voted on is a brave move always. And I just want to say that as commissioners, we all respect all of your work and the advocacy that you do across the state. I know that there will be many opportunities in the future for all of us to be chairs and vice chairs, or all of you to be chairs and vice chairs, and looking forward to working with all of you continuing forward.
I'd like to say, yeah, I agree with what Randy just said. It was really good. You know, in a sense, we're all voting for ourselves as well, because the work of the commission isn't just done by the chair and the vice chair, but by all of us, and by others, the staff of the Home Care Commission, certainly Jenny and her leadership. And so I commend each of you who ran and for these positions, but I also commend all of us as we work to these important goals as we work to continue to be strategic and develop programs that are meaningful in the lives of so many people. So again, very much appreciate all of the commitment and the interest of each one in serving in this way.
Great, thank you. Marcia, I have a statement to read before we adjourn.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we were not able to get to the strategic plan, and we will need to bump that to next month. We will be going into executive session, and Naja has a hard stop at 2:00. So executive session statement. Per ORS 192.610 through 192.710, the OHCC will hold an executive session for the purpose of discussing labor negotiations with governing bodies representative. ORS 192.660 subsection 1D. At this time, the Oregon Home Care Commission is going into an executive session for deliberating with the governing body's representative in labor negotiations in accordance with ORS 192.660 subsection 1D. The session is closed to members of the public and news media. You have a separate link for the executive session that Heidi sent out. So I think, Marcia, if you'd like to adjourn the meeting.
Yes. Okay. At this time, we will adjourn the meeting, and the next meeting will be on September 4th. Thank you very much.
Okay, go to the next link.